You're watching ABC7 News at 7.
Seeing a lot of frustration about the direction of the country, a lot of frustration about the way the president's addressing issues related to, not only to women, but children. Change happens, frankly, when white women kind of get fed up.
Republican women voters, they helped elect a Democrat in Sarasota. Will their vote have a huge impact on the midterm elections? Good evening, everyone. I'm Alan Cohen, and welcome to ABC7 at 7. We'll have more on Republican women voting Democrat in a moment. But first, our top 7 stories at 7. We begin tonight with the Sarasota County Sheriff's Office searching for a person that opened fire at the Suncoast Park. With several playgrounds, Urfer Family Park has long been a quick getaway for parents and children throughout the years. A few people who visited the park today have heard of car break-ins and other issues. Sarasota County Park officials say it's a safe park, and the shooting last week was just an isolated incident.
Safety is our number one priority in presenting safe parks to our community, and we work hand in hand with the Sheriff's Office to make sure that our visitors and residents have a fun and safe experience.
Anyone with information on the shooting is asked to call the Sarasota Sheriff's Office or Crime Stoppers by calling 941-366-TIPS. The financial strain of the city of Sarasota owned and operated Bobby Jones Golf Club continues to get worse. The average number of rounds are down 20% over the last 2 years, and for the first time in recent memory, course staff are asking the city to subsidize part of its operating expenses. They need an extra $425,000 in the current fiscal year, and early estimates for next year's budget are closer to $1 million after a consultant recommended up to $21 million in course renovations and improvements.
It's something that we can offer our citizens, expose them to golf. Not all cities are that fortunate.
I think $1 million subsidy to golf for a city our size is unacceptable.
The city says there are no plans to sell any part of the Bobby Jones property. Governor Rick Scott may have to resign early if he goes ahead with an anticipated run for the U.S. Senate. But thanks to a little notice change approved this month by state legislators, Scott may be able to wait until after the November election to make up his mind. The U.S. Constitution requires Congress to convene on January 3rd unless a different day is chosen. Scott's term as governor does not end until the following week. Scott says this weekend he will decide his political future in the next few weeks. Yesterday, Governor Rick Scott signed a sweeping education bill into law. One of the provisions allows for a voucher program for students who have been bullied in public school to attend a private school. Venice High School started a new program called VHS Connects. It's a 45-minute class that meets once a week. Students are able to meet with counselors or other students to walk through bullying issues.
It's a starting point, and again, that's something that we're going to continue to build upon and see what kind of gains we can make to support our students.
Class meets every Monday morning at 10 a.m. for 45 minutes. An 18-year-old man is on the run, wanted for murder in Manatee County. Deputies are looking for Jacqueline Lee, who deputies say shot and killed Tommy Brown Jr. while he sat in his car last night. Deputies say that Lee approached Brown's car and began arguing. Once the feud escalated, investigators believe Lee got back into his seat and shot Brown. Anyone with information about Lee's whereabouts is asked to call the Manatee County Sheriff's Office or Crime Stoppers. The unemployment numbers for Florida have been released. State officials announcing today the state's unemployment rate for January was 3.9%, which is lower than the national rate of 4.1%. The latest estimates there are 397,000 unemployed people. The state has added just over 150,000 total jobs since January 2017. Florida is overall its growth is for last year is 1.8%, which was the 10th highest in the nation. A tax package providing relief to farmers and property owners impacted by Hurricane Irma while offering sales tax breaks at the start of the school year and hurricane season was approved by the House and Senate at the conclusion of the 2018 legislative season. The package contains tax holidays allowing Floridians to prepare for the school year and hurricane season without paying sales taxes. The back-to-school tax holiday on clothes costing $60 or less and school supplies costing $15 or less will occur over 3 days in early August, starting June 1st. There will be a 7-day tax holiday hurricane-related gear, such as tarpaulins, batteries, and portable generators.
Disaster preparedness is the big one, and we got hit last year hard by that hurricane. And so being able to have an entire week to store up and get the supplies you need, that's huge.
So far, Governor Rick Scott's office has not indicated if he will sign the package, which totals about $170 million. Now let's head over to ABC7 meteorologist Steve Newman with the First Alert forecast. Steve.
In for Bob tonight, and we've got a big change going on in the weather. In fact, in the last 24 hours, we are anywhere from 10 to 15 degrees, as much as 17 degrees cooler than we were at 7 o'clock last night, all because of a cold front that's come through. On average, 10, 11, 12 degrees cooler right now than we were at 7 o'clock on Sunday night. Here's a cold front now moving away from Florida. It produced some fairly hefty storms to the south of us, just scant amount of rain for us. You're going to have to water your lawn, I'm afraid, because there's no rain even in the distant future on the long-range outlooks. Well, they did some, as you see, very heavy rain down on the Florida Strait, but it's going away, and drier air is going to settle in. But if you take a look here at the radar, you can see Miami getting a few sprinkles down there. They got about a ½ inch of rain. If you're looking at the overnight forecast tonight, it's going to be blustery. You need a wrap of some kind, a windbreaker, a jacket or something as you head out tonight as temperatures cool off through the 50s, bottoming off in the upper 40s. But, Alan, it's going to get colder than that as the week moves on.
All things relative, Steve. My son up in the Northeast, second week in a row, snow.
This is going to be a bad storm.
Is getting rid of their baseball game.
This nor'easter is going to be worse than the last two, and I'll be telling you more about that later on the newscast.
Right, thanks a lot. Still to come, we saw it in House 72, the election, Republican women voting Democrat. Was this a one-time thing or a sign of things to come?
Tomorrow at 5 on ABC7's Good Morning Suncoast.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Webb.
And I'm Ray Collins. Researchers are working to fight breast cancer with the help of technology from the battlefield.
We'll tell you how this groundbreaking new process could change the future of medicine tomorrow on Good Morning Suncoast. John?
As our front exits the state of Florida, high pressure builds in and the winds are brisk out of the north. That draws down cooler air. We'll tell you how cool it'll be this week.
Tomorrow at 5 on ABC7's Good Morning Suncoast. We're here for you.
What if you had a medical emergency away from home?
My chest hurts. I can't breathe.
What you need is Mobile Help, America's premier mobile medical alert system. Most systems only work at home, but with Mobile Help, you get help outside the home with coverage nationwide on one of the largest cellular networks at the press of a button. Call the number on your screen for a free full-color brochure. We'll send you everything you need, including this base station, the patented mobile device, and the waterproof pendant and wrist button. You can also add the fall button that automatically detects falls and signals help. Call today and receive a risk-free 30-day trial. There is no equipment to buy and no long-term contract. For a limited time, you will also receive a free emergency key box with your plan purchase. Remember, Mobile Help keeps you safe coast to coast.
Call 1-800-916-8638. That's 1-800-916-8638.
Don't allow your weight to threaten your health or control your future. Excess weight or obesity can cause emotional and physical health risks. But you can take control. The Your Weight Matters campaign offers free resources and tips to help you measure and understand your weight. Take the Your Weight Matters Challenge. The free toolkit prepares you to speak with a healthcare provider about your weight. Your weight does matter. Take the challenge and take control today.
Keep up with the Suncoast. Watch your favorite ABC7 shows on your streaming device.
Women are predicted to define politics in 2018. The gender gap in politics has existed for years is closing in. ABC7's Jess Dadrick joins us with more. Jess.
Alan, in a time where the Me Too movement is sweeping the nation, shedding light on sexual harassment and assault, women are becoming brave and powerful. It's not just when it comes for standing up for themselves, but women are also now realizing the power in their vote. Kay Mathers has been a lifelong Republican until last November.
I decided after Trump was nominated by the party, after the Access Hollywood tapes came out and the continued rhetoric was not countered by the GOP, I decided at that point I was going to switch parties.
Mathers remained a Republican through the election as a statement to the party.
To me, that was a value statement that I couldn't get around, and I still can't get around it. I'll never forget it. I don't understand how you can be aligned with something so awful, and what does that say to children?
Now Mathers is a registered Democrat and fully supported now State Representative Margaret Good in her campaign.
I've always worked for women's rights. I'm a huge female activist. So when I met Margaret and she agreed to just sit down and talk to me and really listen, she just impressed me so much.
There are a lot of women like Mathers who are starting to realize the power in having their voices be heard. While the Supervisor of Elections office in Sarasota County doesn't have gender-specific data related to voter turnout for the District 72 election, the Democrat and Republican parties have their own statistics. According to the state Democratic Party, before Election Day even arrived, women made up 58% of the early ballots.
Florida tends to be a mirror on the country. So if you think about Sarasota, as you know, a lot of folks from Sarasota come from the Midwest. So if you see the election trends in places like Wisconsin, Illinois, and Minnesota this year, you're seeing women turning out in record numbers. You saw that, in Margaret Good's case. And in Margaret's case, you actually saw a lot of Republican women turn out to vote.
Democratic strategist Steve Shale believes that women are fed up with the president's handling of issues having to do with women and children.
Change happens, frankly, when white women kind of get fed up. I mean, if you look at civil rights movement, if you think of LGBT issues, you see these moments in time where women really sort of step up and change the direction of the country.
A lot of these Democratic victories happening around the country in areas where women are predominantly white.
The Me Too movement, particularly among younger women, has really mobilized people.
On the flip side of the coin, the Republican Party sees things quite differently. Melissa Howard, president of Gulf Coast Republican Women Federated, says Representative Good didn't win because Republican women were voting for her.
A lot of people are saying that more women voted than men, and that is true. If you look at who is registered to vote in Sarasota County, I have the numbers here, and it's actually, gender statistics, 52.5% of the registered voters are women and 45% are men. So clearly, yes, more women voted because there are certainly more women that are registered to vote.
Howard also attributed the victory to Good securing a majority of the independent vote. She also points out that Good outspent her opponent, Republican James Buchanan, and just plain worked harder, which is why she won.
And that's something that the Republicans, here we have to work on, because I think we assumed because we have, the majority of people that are registered are Republicans, we didn't work as hard as she did. I don't like that people are judging local races based on how they think the president is doing. That's not fair.
What both parties can agree on is that more qualified women are beginning to run for office.
For a long time, women sort of felt like they couldn't balance the job, that there was sort of too much to balance a family, a career, and public service, which of course is ridiculous. Absolutely, women can do that. But what's happening is as more and more women succeed, more and more women are saying, hey, that lady who ran for governor, she's got 3 kids and she's doing a great job. I can run for the state legislature, or I can run for county commission.
So Mathers is just one of millions of women now making sure their voices are heard. And in the next 10 years, she predicts a dynamic shift in power from the female base of voters.
It's time to be brave. A lot of women I know don't like to talk about politics still. And this, to me, is not about politics. This is about how we live and how our children are being raised.
Some people believe as more and more women get elected, governmental bodies may be able to start tackling some of the major issues that our country is facing, and there could be a little less partisanship. Alan.
Thank you. When we come back, a trapezoid full of women, a Republican, a Democrat, a journalist. Stay with us.
My name is Stefan Campagna. We're Ben Gates and Dramus, and here is your law tip of the week. If you've been injured or arrested, I know this feels like the end of the road, but really it's the beginning of a long, potentially stressful process. So give us a call. Let us give you some peace of mind.
I heard about the Dotoli Cancer Center through friends of mine who had been treated here and were very pleased with the treatment.
If there is prostate cancer, we at the Dotoli Cancer Center will find it using 3D color flow Doppler ultrasound.
And that helped precisely identify where my cancer was. I can tell you that you will not find a finer, more professional team of clinicians anywhere in the world.
This is an important announcement. If you're between 50 and 85 and worried about your loved ones, you can still get affordable life insurance for peace of mind.
My life insurance coverage is guaranteed, and I was not required to get a medical exam.
I had high blood pressure and diabetes, and I got my coverage with one telephone call. No exam necessary.
I'm a smoker, and I wanted to take care of my family. I called to get my life insurance and my affairs in order. I wanted to do the right thing.
Call Final Expense No Exam Insurance. Your rates are guaranteed and will never increase.
I called and learned that this insurance cannot be canceled even if you get sick or gain weight.
And there are no restrictions on how my beneficiaries use the money when I'm gone.
Approval was easy and the price was right. I wanted to do this for my children.
Call 800-738-9812. 800-738-9812.
Maybe you can make retirement happen. After all, you made her college years happen. Opening that education savings account when she was little. Spearheading a campus tour. And another, and another, and another, and another. Bam! Deciphering financial aid. She was like, what? But now she's like, you aced planning for college. Now get the tips you need to get on track at aceyourretirement.org.
Or on Suncoast View. Tomorrow at 4 on.
Welcome back. Republicans and Democrats around here don't agree on much, but they do agree on this. If college-educated Republican women didn't cross over and vote Democrat in the recent House 72 election, Margaret Good may not have won. Republican women crossing over and voting Democrat in large numbers isn't just happening here. It recently happened in Miami. It happened in the U.S. Senate race in Alabama. And the question is why? President Trump? The gun issue, or what? Joining us for more is Rita Ferrandino, former chair of the Sarasota Democratic Party, Lynn Larson of the Sarasota Republican Party, and Kate Bradshaw. And Lynn, let me start with you. Margaret Good only won on Election Day by 110 votes, and our friends at the Herald Tribune reported that led political analysts to conclude a big chunk of Republican voters, most independent voters and women, voted for Good. Question to you is it because Democrats worked harder, or were Republican women voting against the Republican candidate for another reason?
I think that the Republican women, were voting because the Democrat Party had worked very hard on that race. And I think you had two very qualified candidates. You had a woman that had been in that seat that resigned, and another woman running probably had an advantage.
All right, Rita, I'm sure you would accept the compliment that the Democrats outworked the Republicans in this case and the other reasons, but in your opinion, were there issues? Was it President Trump? Was it the gun issue? Was it whatever?
Absolutely, and I think Republican women clearly crossed over and voted for Margaret Good, and I think it's because of her stand on issues. She was very clear that she was pro-public education. She was very clear on her stance in healthcare and on the environment, and I think that Republican women felt really comfortable and confident that she was trustworthy and stood for them.
You know, Kate, you know the old Tip O'Neill saying, all politics is local. Right. Was this just a unique race here in Sarasota County, or do you draw a connection between this race and the recent special election with a similar result in Miami, or even the Alabama Senate race?
Well, I would say that there are certainly more women who are becoming interested in not only voting but becoming candidates. I think this is part of a trend, but what we saw in District 72 was unique, and I think there was a little bit more energy among Democrats and resources that went into that race. So it was, I think, kind of a combination of the two in this case.
Well, let's talk for a moment about the elephant in the room, and it's it's President Trump. And Lynn, let me ask you this: I've heard some national conversation that some of these races around the nation, the special elections, is because there are college-educated women in large numbers who look at President Trump and his personal behavior, and that's the reason why they're not voting Republican right now.
I don't know any women that are saying that. The women that I know that are college-educated Republicans are saying that they vote for the candidate who's going to improve the economy and who's going to help all people, find jobs. So I think that's one of the big things is try to help protect our borders. I mean, not just immigration and people complaining about that, but we could have terrorists coming through our borders right now. Our borders are terrible.
But the economy generally is perceived to be doing well right now.
And people believe that it's doing well because of some of the things that President Trump has done.
Then why, in this case, are many Republican women crossing over?
Well, you say that they're crossing over. I think it's an individual race, and it's not just women. I think all people, no matter what race you are, what sex you are, it's like all people want the economy to do well. They want jobs, and they want the things that President Trump is doing right now.
Okay. We have to take just a quick break, and we'll have much more on the power of women voters right after we check the First Alert weather. Stay with us.
It's time to take a road trip. Alabama's got 100 road trips.
And if you love the sun, you're gonna love Mobile, where Mardi Gras is king, and the accommodations will make you feel like royalty. You can take a little drive, explore Dauphin Island, or explore the past. We're talking the USS Alabama.
Check out these big guns. Alabama's got 100 road trips. Plan yours at alabama.travel. Which one you gonna take?
A promise was made, a promise that hit the beaches of Normandy, a vow that captured Iwo Jima, a contract that weathered Tet, a pledge that stormed the desert in Iraq, an IOU that braved IEDs in Kandahar. A promise was made to America's veterans. DAV fights to keep that promise, so all veterans and their families get the benefits and support they earned. For help, visit DAV.org.
My life motto is keep moving. And as hard as it was when my husband passed away, I knew I had to keep doing what I love. Oops, coming. But I needed help with my insurance, and that's what the NAIC provides. They have resources to help you and your family make the best decision, and they'll help you to keep moving forward, just like me.
Every child follows a path in life. For many, that path will lead them to a door that gives them a place to grow, to learn, to belong, a place to forge their future. Because while many doors open, these doors transform. They did for us. Support your local Boys and Girls Clubs. Great futures start here.
In life after the military, it's our duty as veterans to have each other's back. I'm retired Colonel Greg Gatson, and it's my mission to help you get the benefits and services you've earned. If you need to file a VA claim, remember these important steps. Submit an online claim through ebenefits.va.gov. Work with an accredited Veteran Service Organization, or VSO. And if you need to attend a VA claim exam, please go. Visit this website to learn what to expect.
Our conversation on why Republican women are voting Democrat continues right after we get a check on the First Alert forecast with meteorologist Steve Newman. Steve.
Alan, there is a change blowing in the air, and it's cooler temperatures is the biggest change you're going to notice. And you can see the ripples on Sarasota Bay today as a result of those strong, blustery northwesterly winds that will slowly subside overnight. But it'll really take till tomorrow afternoon for them to really calm down. 61 degrees, and we're not going to be that warm for a while. Dew point is 49, and we're going to go deeper into the 40s as that drier air just filters in over the state tonight. Our high this afternoon, 71. We're not going to see that for a while either, at least not till the weekend. 64 was last night's low. We're going to be below normal on both counts for a few days. Now, I have to tell you, there's a lake wind advisory in effect across most of Florida. There is a high surf advisory right along the shore, at extreme danger of rip currents in effect now, and small craft advisories offshore. All that slowly will calm down and improve tomorrow. Behind this cold front, which is now, you can see the sun going down, illuminating this visible light satellite image sequence, slowly disappearing as the sun sets into the western sky. But the rain is gone, the clouds are gone, and the rain that we could have got really didn't happen. We only got scant amounts of rain, like one tenth or 2/10 of an inch, not enough to really help with your lawns. You're going to be having to water them, I think, in the next few days. Along the East Coast, this is a major nor'easter, and this is going to be different from the last two. It's already producing very severe conditions around Raleigh-Durham, probably a lot of delays in and out of that airport. And as it moves offshore and intensifies, look at the rain-snow band. This storm is going to be closer than the last two. You can see just 200 miles offshore, mean it'll be windier along Cape Cod and along the New England coastline, and snowier too, and the snow bands will bring blizzard conditions. It's going to be a really rough Tuesday across the northeastern states before things slowly calm down. You can see the storm currently in place right off the North Carolina coast, and snow increasing up here. So it really makes our little brush with winter really nothing by comparison to what they're going to be suffering up north. 41 the current temperature in New York. That will drop off into the 30s as it begins to snow. 32 at Raleigh-Durham, where it is snowing very heavily. And if we took a look at our futurecast, it takes us the next 48 hours. There goes the nor'easter. We have a fairly strong northerly flow keeping us cool and dry, but got another cool front coming into play on Wednesday. It will pass by late Wednesday night, delivering this second parcel of cool air over us, causing our temperatures to drop into the low 40s on Thursday morning and Friday morning as well. If you're heading out on the water, well, you shouldn't be doing it early in the day. Small craft advisories in effect now, but they'll be later for tomorrow, Tuesday. Northwest winds 10 to 20, seas 4 to 6 feet. You don't want to be out there. The beach is going to be a little rough for spring breakers, but it'll improve by later on in the week. Here's my forecast for tonight. It'll be clear and blustery. 47, the low temperature. You're going to feel the difference with the lower humidity and the cooler air. And tomorrow, partly sunny and fresh. High temperature 66, well over 10 degrees, cooler than normal. We don't get a chance to say that very often. We also don't get a chance to say it's going to stay that way for several days. We often warm back up quickly after these cold fronts come through. Not the case now. We stay in the 60s through most of the week. But look at this. Then the cooler air gets here on Thursday morning and Friday morning in the low 40s. But the weekend looks absolutely beautiful with temperatures near 80. It's going to be delicious. Alan will be back with his guest right after these words. Stay tuned.
Here's something we bet you didn't know. Nearly half of all cancers can be prevented. That's right, half. Nearly 50%, mostly by making small everyday changes in your diet and controlling your weight, walking more, eating less, and eating foods that help you and your family to seriously reduce the risk of cancer. And of course, by not smoking. Visit the Cancer Prevention Together We Can website and get a free 30-day planner filled with tips, recipes, stats, and more about protecting your family. Go to prevent50.org.
Ever since I can remember, I've been intrigued by industrial design and the optimization.
Wait, that's passion? Ever since I can remember, my passion has been industrial design. We need 3D printers for Miss Adams' engineering program so that we are ready to solve 21st century challenges.
Impressive. Think It Up is a new initiative to support student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classroom today? Think It Up.
That is a pretty good breakfast. You're not even eating.
Not hungry.
No? Why not? What's up?
Kath and I knew that Jenny had been partying a bit. Found out she tried heroin.
Most people don't know what to say about drugs, but we do. Visit us at drugfree.org.
When it comes to drinking, what do you think moderation is? The U.S. Dietary Guidelines define moderation as up to 1 drink a day for women and up to 2 drinks a day for men. So what's a drink? The guidelines say a drink equals 12 ounces of beer, 5 ounces of wine, or a cocktail with 1.5 ounces of distilled spirits. Each contains the same amount of alcohol. Like to learn more? Visit drinkinmoderation.org.
Selfless service is the principle that guides Army National Guard soldiers to be ready whenever disaster strikes. They have a stake in the well-being of the neighborhoods where they live and work. They train part-time to be ready to serve at all times. Selfless service. It's what inspires the men and women of the Army National Guard to be part of something greater than themselves. Visit NationalGuard.com to learn more.
Welcome back. College-educated white women may have a huge impact on the upcoming midterms in numbers that we have not seen before. And joining us for more is Rita Ferrandino, former chair of the Sarasota Democratic Party, Lynn Larson of the Sarasota County Republican Party, and Kay Bradshaw of Creative Loafing. And Rita, I want to give you a chance to respond to something that Lynn said. In essence, that Margaret Good's recent victory over James Buchanan was just a function of Democrats getting their vote out and outworking the Republicans, and not an issue-oriented reason why she won.
Well, I disrespectfully disagree. First of all, you have to remember that Margaret Good is not a politico. She absolutely came to the table saying, hey, I think things have to change. I want to make a difference. I've never run for anything. I'm going to put myself in the hat to run for this seat. So she had no political ambitions prior to just being a fed-up woman wanting to go to Tallahassee to make a difference. And that is the momentum that people bought into. The fact that she was a competent attorney with a very strong track record, daughter of a preacher and a nurse, and just clearly that really just came through, is that she was in this for all the right reasons, and people started to really trust her, and the momentum built from that. The other thing you have to remember is that this is not a 50% Republican, 50 Democrat district. This is a district that Republicans have 42% of the voters, with a 32% Democratic voter registration disadvantage. So Margaret, in order to win, had to have the independents and Republicans cross over, which is what we saw happened and why she's in Tallahassee.
So Lynn, let me just ask you briefly, given that, is it simply that the Democrats outworked the Republicans there, or is there an issue reason, in your opinion, why some Republican women crossed over?
As I said before, there was a woman in that district who resigned, and so it was clearly that district had chosen a woman to represent them. And I think that the woman running, and it was a competent woman, she was very competent, she ran. And we had also James Buchanan who ran, and he was not a politico. He had never run for anything. He's a young man, a young family man, but he had never run for office before either.
But Ray Pilon had that seat before, Keith Fitzgerald had that seat. And James Buchanan is the son of Vern Buchanan, and you cannot say that that's not a politico.
Kate, let me ask you about the bigger context here. Newsweek magazine recently reported that college-educated women are increasingly abandoning the damaged Republican Party as part of a backlash against President Trump. Do you agree with that in terms of what you're seeing in the entire Tampa Bay area?
Yeah, absolutely. There's definitely a gender gap, rather, in terms of the approval rating. It's bigger, and it's consistent, and it's much larger than the gap that President Obama had. And I think that, the Tampa Bay area is kind of a microcosm of the rest of the country, and just given not only the Women's March and how people keep coming back to those events, but just every weekend there's a different march, sometimes multiple marches, and people are active and they're engaged.
Okay. We have to take a quick break, and we'll be back for much longer final thoughts when we return.
Florida Studio Theater presents Blue Suede Shoes, celebrating the birth of rock and roll. From the father of rock and roll, Chuck Berry, to the king himself, Elvis Presley, this musical review features such great hits as Rock Around the Clock, Mustang Sally, Johnny Be Good, and of course, Blue Suede Shoes. Critics are calling Blue Suede Shoes a burst of rock history, dynamic and high voltage. Audiences are calling it phenomenal. Blue Suede Shoes has been held over by popular demand. Tickets can be purchased by calling 941-366-9000 or by visiting floridastudiotheater.org.
According to a new survey by U.S. News and World Report, 3 of Alabama's top 4 hotels and resorts are part of the Robert Trent Jones Golf Trail Resort Collection. The Grand Hotel Marriott Resort in Point Clear, the Battle House Renaissance Mobile Hotel and Spa, and the Renaissance Birmingham Ross Bridge Golf Resort and Spa. Hey, we didn't invent Southern hospitality, we just offer more of it. Visit rtjgolf.com/resorts to find out more.
Hi, I'm Janelle Hale, founder and CEO of the National Breast Cancer Foundation. No one should face breast cancer alone. When I was diagnosed 36 years ago, there was no internet, and I had to make a decision with little information. Early detection saved my life. It could save yours too. To learn what every woman needs to know about breast cancer, visit nbcf.org/hope.
We've all heard how military veterans adjusting to the civilian world may have certain issues.
30. 70.
If only everyone had this issue. No matter what challenge they face, Easter Seals is here for America's veterans.
Enjoy some of the best Suncoast restaurants on me. Just go to mysuncoast.com/dining, sign up for the newsletter if you haven't already, and you can win a $50 gift card to a restaurant in our area. We'll pick a winner each week, so go on our website and sign up now.
And we continue our conversation. Kate, let me ask you this. What impact, if any, in your opinion, does the Parkland shooting have on the equation that we're talking about in terms of there are very specific ideas out there, some of which the Florida legislature has addressed in terms of raising the legal age to buy a long gun, the question of whether or not assault-type weapons should be legal or not. How does this affect the politics in terms of how women in Florida vote?
Well, I will say this. I did a post probably a couple of weeks ago on how Tampa Bay area lawmakers voted on the assault weapons ban, or at least the motion to take up debate on the assault weapons ban, and that was one of the most viewed posts that I've ever had. And I mean, when you're talking about kids in these vulnerable positions and families being in these vulnerable positions wherever they go because these weapons are legal and practically anyone can buy them, you know, I think it's especially going to have an impact on how women vote.
Lynn, is that something that you're concerned about in putting your Republican Party hat on in terms of how women in particular feel about the availability of assault weapons and large capacity magazines, given what happened in our own state?
I don't think it's just women that are concerned about children's safety and people's safety with guns. I don't think that, I think it's more of a mental health issue. We've seen that. And the mental health has been questioned. There were warnings out there on Parkland that were ignored, that were not listened to. So it's just not banning weapons, okay? Somebody wants to go in and they can get an axe and go after somebody. But I agree that they should not be so readily accessible, and the legislature has passed some things to make them more difficult to obtain immediately.
But
so I think that's a start.
But not on the federal level. And again, the question, Rita, is this something that is a gender issue or not, as Lynn says?
So I think women are outraged and paying attention, and they're protesting and they're active like they've never been before. And I really do believe that this is the year of the woman. And I think for women, they're not seeing party. They're not Republicans and Democrats. Women are seeing themselves as women, and they're seeing themselves as wanting to protect the things that they care about. So I think these are the two issues that women really care about. I think that they're really disgusted and tired of Donald Trump and the Access Hollywood and the recent porn star. They're just fed up and tired of it, and they think we deserve better. And I think they think the second issue is they just don't believe that anybody needs an AK-47.
Right, so again, what we hear is that women will be big influencers in the midterm elections, especially in the suburbs. People talk about the Philadelphia suburbs. Newsweek reports that the numbers indicate that Democrats are already performing better with college-educated women than they have in the last 2 midterms. But that was before Parkland. So what Newsweek argues is the reason why Democrats lost support in the last few elections is because they were not adequately addressing the financial and the economic issues. Right now, Kate, the economy, people say, is doing a lot better, so it must be something else.
Well, yeah, I am not quite sure. I mean, I think that part of it is identity politics. Women essentially, women want more women in politics. And that number has grown. 28% of GOP women in 2016 said that they wanted more. They thought the government would do better if there were more women in politics. That number jumped to 59% in 2017. Meanwhile, you have a party that does not openly, actively recruit female candidates. So that's going to be a problem for the party as well.
So, Lynn, does the Republican Party have to do a better job in recruiting Republican women to run for office?
I think that there are qualified women out there. The problem is that politics can be a contact sport, and there's nothing but criticism. I can tell you, I was an elected official in Longboat Key, and no matter what I did, you're going to make people unhappy. There's lots of criticism. A lot of women may not want to listen to that on a regular basis, and still it's a good old boys network. I mean, it still is for the most part. So some women have been reluctant to get into that, and I can understand why.
Let me ask you about that, because we did so many shows on the Me Too movement, and I remember absolutely being stunned when I had Shirley Brown and Keith Fitzgerald in here and telling me about the atmosphere in Tallahassee on the floor of the House and the Senate and the hanky-panky that goes on up there. And I would imagine, Rita, that a lot of people don't want to be involved with that at all. And I also could imagine that people are coming out and really there's a big pushback after what we found out in the Florida legislature and the U.S. Congress and elsewhere.
So I will tell you that today I had 2 communications with 2 of my very close Republican female friends who were giving me names of potential people to run for office on the Democratic ticket, because everybody is got on their mind that we have the ability to make change happen. I was at the Women's March in Washington, D.C., and I was at the Women's March right here in Sarasota. And Sarasota, it was 50-50. It was Republicans and Democrats and independents and kids and supportive spouses and boyfriends. And this movement is way beyond gender, and it's way beyond party politics.
So, Kay, what do you think, what do you see in terms of when you look at all the House and Senate races here in the Tampa Bay area, the congressional races and all going into this midterm? Can you point to some races that you think are really going to turn out differently because women are so energized to vote?
Right. Well, I would say House District 69 would be one. Jennifer Webb ran there against Kathleen Peters, also female, of course, Republican, and didn't turn out well. She's running against, assuming Webb clears the primary, she's going to be running against a male candidate. And I mean, I think that she's going to get a lot of support, but I mean, I would definitely right out predict she would win.
That's a Pinellas County race where she is racking up a massive amount of endorsements and so forth. And Lynn, finally, let me ask you this. It used to be whoever could raise the most money has the best chance to win. Do you think that kind of equation is falling by the wayside right now?
Well, money will buy time on TV, et cetera, as you know, so that helps get your face out there. But I think the most qualified candidate, and the qualified candidates will rise to the top. And I think that's the thing. It's not just men, it's not just women, it's a combination. We need the best candidates we can that are going to be conservative, that are going to try to bring back family values, who are going to try to concentrate on the economy.
And Rita, let me give you the quick last word.
What was the question?
You know, Margaret Good raised a considerable amount of money here on House 72. You know, is that, you know, can you duplicate that for another general election, and is that really one of the answers here?
I think money counts, but I really believe that this is the year where people and traditional candidates are going to sweep, because I think people are really looking for change and they really want diversity and they want fresh blood.
All right, we have to leave it there. Thank you all very much. FYI, you can watch past discussions on demand. They're available on Apple TV, Amazon Fire, and Roku. And for the latest on local breaking news, don't forget to download the updated version of our app. If your current app doesn't work, it's expired. Just go to the App Store and re-download it by searching for WWSB or My Suncoast. We want to thank our guests for being here tonight. Rita Ferrandino is the former chair of the Sarasota Democratic Party. Lynn Larson is with the Sarasota Republican Party. And Kate Bradshaw is political editor at Creative Loafing. When we return, we'll have a final look at your First Alert weather. Plus, is President Trump changing his tune when it comes to his plan for gun control? Stay with us.
Stay connected to your clients and new customers using ABC7 Digital Media Services. Our team of professionals provide a wide array of digital services to help you get the most out of your website. We specialize in building and helping you maintain the most effective digital solutions for your business. It's vital that your online presence stands out, so our experts will equip you with the best resources available. Trust ABC7 Digital Media Services to give you the right tools to grow your business.
I took my first handful of pills, and that's when all my priorities seemed to change.
He would ask to use the bathroom in other people's homes.
He just assumed that they would have medication.
He'd go in their medicine cabinets and steal prescription drugs.
I wish I knew really what these prescription pills were.
We were so naive about the whole drug thing.
These are all synthetic forms of heroin.
Keep your medication locked up because you'll never notice that a pill is gone.
Mind your meds. Learn more from the Partnership for Drug-Free Kids.
I'm Deshauna Barber. In 2016, I was proud to win the title of Miss USA. What makes me just as proud is my service in the U.S. military. In the service, a soldier gains skills and learns values like discipline and leadership. That makes them an asset to any business that hires them. If you're an employer, on behalf of Coalition to Salute America's Heroes, remember to hire smart and bet on a vet. Visit saluteheroes.org or call this number to learn more.
The thought of my sons growing up without me inspired me to quit smoking.
I talked to my doctors, and then I threw away all my cigarettes, ashtrays, and lighters.
I started exercising instead of smoking.
Letting my friends online know I was quitting kept me on track.
Staying away from alcohol when I was first quitting was key.
I kept on trying, learned something each time.
Do whatever it takes.
No matter how many times it takes.
We did it. You can too.
For free help, visit cdc.gov/tips.
Your primetime headlines are coming up in a moment, but right now let's get a final check on our First Alert forecast from meteorologist Steve Newman. Steve.
Thanks, Alan. We've had a lot of rough seas out there. Not a great time to be out on the water. Probably not tomorrow either. Even on the beach, it's going to be blustery and cooler because of a strong cold front that came by earlier today. It's delivered a parcel of cool air over us, bringing our humidity down to 64% and the dew point 49. It's going to get even lower than that as that dry air settles in more and more tonight and tomorrow. And then we got another cool front coming through on Wednesday that'll get us down into the low 40s. All in all, we did not get any rain from this front, only 3/100ths of an inch, and that means we're over an inch below normal for the month, and we are now 3 1/4 inches below normal for the year, and there's no rain in sight. It means you're going to have to water your lawns more, and there's also an increasing threat of wildfire danger. Be very careful outdoors. Well, here's the cold front now moving out of Florida. Behind it, skies clearing. You can see the clouds disappear as the sun went down. And the rain is moving away too, out of radar range for the most part, and we hardly got any. You can see rainfall totals for the 24-hour. Barely any up through here, down south, maybe an inch, 2 inches in some of the wetter spots through the Florida Keys. There is a major winter storm brewing. It has just been coming down in Raleigh-Durham. Thunder snow probably, I would imagine. As this low moves out and intensifies, it's going to hug the coast. In fact, this storm is going to be closer than the last two, meaning that it's going to bring stronger winds to New England, near blizzard conditions, bands of heavy snow like we haven't seen from the last two storms. In fact, you can see the whole area of snow increasing over Canada and the northeastern United States. High temperatures this afternoon in the low 40s. In New England, they're going to do nothing but go down. As high as 82 at Phoenix and 64 in Los Angeles. Now look at our weather. The futurecast shows that nor'easter moving away, the front latched onto it moving farther away from us, and cool north winds continuing. But look, there's another cold front coming, bringing cooler and drier air by late Wednesday night into Thursday. That means Thursday morning will be cooler and Friday morning will be cooler, but it's going to be cool tonight, but not as cool as those 2 days. Here's our forecast for tonight. Clearing and breezy, our low temperature 47. The average for this time of year would be around 58, so we're 11 degrees cooler than normal, or we should be tonight. And tomorrow, a partly sunny and fresh day. The high temperature 66 degrees. That is, again, cooler than normal, which is something we've not been able to say very often for a long time here along the Sun Coast. And the winds that right now are gusting up to 20, 25 will subside to 5 to 10 by late tomorrow. And here's your forecast for the next 7 days, showing tomorrow will be a fresh day with a high of 66. And then look what happens when that front comes through on Wednesday, bringing the drier, cooler air. Our lows drop from 48 to 43 for 2 days as we move toward the weekend. But then a warming trend sets in for the weekend with a high temperature on Friday, 72. We go up to 77 on Saturday, maybe 80 on Sunday, certainly that by Monday. But all this weather pattern shift we've got shows that we will not have enough moisture to bring any rain for some time, and it's going to take a while to recover from this little brush of cooler air, a double dose of cool air. Alan will be back with final words right after these words.
Alex Karras Lincoln's 40th anniversary sale. Please join us in welcoming the two newest additions to the Lincoln lineup, our flagship luxury sedan, the 2018 Lincoln Continental, and the totally redesigned 2018 Lincoln Navigator, featuring 450 horsepower, 10-speed transmission, and many best-in-class features. Alex Karras Lincoln, where our mission statement is consistent commitment, every client, every time. Located 2 miles north of the Sarasota-Bradenton Airport on US 41.
Who else has been taking your prescriptions? Keep your medicine and your family safe and secure. Mind your meds. To learn how we can help, visit the Partnership for Drug-Free Kids at drugfree.org.
Hamilton was adopted from a rescue in 2008. He really likes to be around people. And as soon as I start to make my breakfast, Hamilton is right there. I get out my mat and I'm doing a downward dog and he's underneath. He's quite the pug about town. He gets invited to a lot of parties. He knows he's a pretty big deal. I mean, look at this little face. How could you not love him?
Florida Studio Theater presents Blue Suede Shoes, celebrating the birth of rock and roll. From the father of rock and roll, Chuck Berry, to the king himself, Elvis Presley, this musical review features such great hits as Rock Around the Clock, Mustang Sally, Johnny B. Good, and of course, Blue Suede Shoes. Critics are calling Blue Suede Shoes a burst of rock history, dynamic and high voltage. Audiences are calling it phenomenal. Blue Suede Shoes has been held over by popular demand. Tickets can be purchased by calling 941-366-9000 or by visiting floridastudiotheater.org.
Invest in Kids is a $7.5 million project to build a new Boys and Girls Club in South Manatee County. I'm Caleb Grimes, and I was a club kid. It's where I learned important life lessons, leadership, integrity, responsibility, and baseball. Thousands of kids attend the Boys and Girls Clubs, and after years of use, their club is slowly falling apart. Help us invest in kids. Make your donation today.
Checking primetime headlines, Republicans on Capitol Hill had been waiting for Months or weeks for the president's marching orders when it comes to gun laws, and nearly a month after the massacre at Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, the White House is introducing its plan. The president appears to be doing a 180 on gun legislation he previously voiced support for, like raising the age to 21 to purchase a rifle. ABC's Serena Marshall has more from Washington.
President Trump defending his newly released gun proposal in a series of tweets this morning, writing, "Very strong improvement and strengthening of background checks legislation moving forward. And when it comes to raising those age limits, a stark reversal. States are making this decision." It was just a few weeks ago when he seemed ready to push Republicans.
They're allowed to buy them at 18. So how does that make sense? I say that it should all be at 21.
But their new plan does not include that age change or universal background checks. Instead, support for the Cornyn-Murphy bill to improve background checks, expand mental health programs, and help states to provide firearms training to specifically qualified school personnel. All proposals the NRA has previously backed.
It sure looks like President Trump is as scared of the NRA as the people he called out a couple weeks ago in that meeting.
The president's primary focus is on pushing through things that we know have broad bipartisan support, or things that we can do from an administrative perspective that we can do immediately.
Republicans had been waiting on the White House to provide political cover on the purchase age, but today the press secretary says their plan to create a federal commission on school safety that would examine raising the age of purchase is just the first step. Democrats, though, still hoping for more.
The president once again had to back away from what he had promised.
Those teen activists, however, still could change the conversation. A nationwide student walkout is planned later this week for stricter gun laws. Serena Marshall, ABC News, Washington.
Adult film star Stormy Daniels is offering to return her hush money to President Trump and his lawyer. Daniels says he had an affair with Trump before the 2016 presidential election. Daniels is hoping by returning the money she'll be able to end her silence. Last month, Trump's attorney Michael Cohen says he paid $130,000 of his own money to Daniels ahead of the 2016 election. Daniels' attorney says she would wire the money to an account designated by the president by Friday if he agrees. What's going on in Texas? 2 explosions from packages outside 2 homes in Austin, Texas. A 17-year-old African-American boy died and a woman was hurt in the first one early this morning. An elderly Hispanic woman was taken to the hospital with life-threatening injuries. Police say the incidents appear to be connected to a March 2nd bombing that killed a man. The first 2 packages were not delivered by mail. President Trump honoring the World Series champion Houston Astros at the White House today. He spoke about being a big fan who supports the Yankees, but said the Astros were just a little bit tougher last season. The New York Yankees blew a 3-2 series lead in the ALCS, with the Astros winning the series in 7. Houston went on to play the Los Angeles Dodgers in the World Series, winning the series in 7 games. The president praised the team's involvement in Houston's recovery after Hurricane Harvey. The Astros gifted President Trump with his own Astros jersey that read Trump on the back. And that's all the time we have for this evening. I'm Alan Coe. Thanks for joining us. Have a good night.